Good morning, good day, and good evening. Whenever you're watching this, this is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition coach and intuitive eating and body image specialist. So it is interesting that, I don't really get tired of learning about this stuff. So I was doing some of my own supervision yesterday, and this is what a lot of non-diet professionals do. Just to get their questions answered by people outside of themselves, maybe people who have different skill sets or whatever. And there was this reminder that I really want to talk about today, is that we often do the very things to ourselves that were done to us, and that's kind of what we're used to. So sorry, the sun is already, I'm a little later with this video, that's why the sun's in my face. Okay, usually I'm out here earlier. So we try to lean back here in this chair. Okay. So, I think about this with food. How often in your experience right now, and I might have to move to even a different chair. Sorry guys. I'm trying to get out of the sun. Is this better? Against this wall? Okay, I'll stand. I can't sit today. It's okay. So, how often in your daily experience do you find yourself, let's say, hungry? And so there's this need that you want to eat something, and there also might be a preference coupled with that. So you're hungry, or you think you might be hungry, or it's been a couple hours and your brain's probably making you think about food because you are a little or a lot hungry. And there might be a preference with it, like, oh, I'm feeling like I want something carby or something hot or something really dense, let's say. But you'll have this voice that says, no, you can't have that because that's too much, or you had that 2 hours ago or 2 days ago and it's not time for that yet. And it's not a match what your body's present needs are. And I know a lot of times we, make this about diet culture. And it is. Diet culture has all these rules. But if you really, as you all are super intelligent who watch these videos, most of you are most if not all of you know about diet culture teaches us that food is good and bad and all of that. But what I find for almost all of us as adults, we can kind of grasp that information. We understand actually even health at every size. It feels really moral, right? That like you take care of the body you have at the level you choose, and so your size isn't indicative of your health. You have to actually to ask people and talk to them about their health behaviors to know anything about them. So doesn't that seem really pretty sane and moral, right? But we can't grasp that information when internally we're in this place of fight or flight. And I think that's what trips up so many of us. So let's go back to the example. You're a little hungry, or you just mentally know that it's been a while, I need to eat something, but the signals aren't that strong. And so it depends on where you're at in recovery, how much intuitive eating you're doing versus mechanical eating, but it's all relevant, or it all relates, because we know we need to eat to survive. We know we need to eat not to have physical, emotional, mental side effects. We know that. And what makes us lose track of that? What makes us say no to our needs? And it's deeper than diet culture. It's diet culture, and it's all the ways in which in our past that our needs have or haven't been met, or how we are just met in general, is the conditioning that we have towards ourselves. And so a lot of us forget that. So if you have a strategy of being really self-reliant, let's say, you're more likely to ignore your needs and just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and kind of suck it up, and I'll get to that later, and later never happens. Or if you have a strategy of feeling like the only way you can ever really get your needs met is to yell and scream and all that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You have to make yourself really big, emotionally, whatever, to get some needs met, or to get care. Then that might be the only way that you let yourself get your food needs met. Or maybe that comes out the other way, is that the only way I get what I really, really, really want to eat without a lot of mental gymnastics is that I binge on it, versus just oh, I want to have some cake, so I'll sit down and honor that and check in again, and if that's enough, then I can be done. If it doesn't feel like that's going to be consistent in your own system, then that won't be enough. Or we're afraid that it won't come back again, or whatever this is going on in your system. That's the biology. So it's like we can know a lot in our heads, but when we're not able to apply that, you need to know that there's something deeper going on here in my own like emotional and physical survival physiology to like how I'm relating to myself. So I'm trying to make this concept as I hope I am explaining it simply, because it's not always the simplest thing to work through, and especially when I'm trying to do it very generally, versus like one-on-one with a person and talk about what that looks like for them. It's a little trickier, but I want you to know, and I want you guys to have all the information you need. If you're frustrated with yourself, why do I keep doing things? I'm so confusing. Why do I keep binging? Why am I, I do intuitive eating, let's say. This one's really important, and I see this a lot, is that usually the first 4 weeks or so of trying to do intuitive eating, it's like we're full of hope and some faith that this could like free us from all this oppression and obsession, and it does. But what happens is we start to lose that numbness and that containment of all those emotions that we've used to, or that we haven't quite, that we've abandoned essentially, probably for a very good reason, because it's uncomfortable and we didn't have a space for it, and it wasn't met, and it wasn't seen and held, and there wasn't a resolution. So underneath, when you start lifting the restrictions and the binging gets better, initially what starts to happen with intuitive eating, and usually after a month, sometimes 8 weeks, depends on the person. Some people don't have this dramatic thing where it's like they're doing pretty good and they start binging again or go back to a diet. I mean, they'll have thoughts about that, but it really depends on our histories with being able to provide soothing for whatever comes up. That it will kind of give you an idea of the history that's coming to the surface, if that makes sense. So I don't want people to be surprised by that and confused by it, because a lot of times we're in present moment and we have all the knowledge, and we've watched and read all the things about intuitive eating, diet culture, health at every size. So we get it. We really get it intellectually. But then our bodies are like, it's not safe. You're going to go back to a diet, or you find yourself kind of checking out, and then you're at the vending machine, or you're eating your kid's stash of candy, or whatever it is you're doing. And you're like, how did I do this? I know better. What's wrong with me? Nothing works. It's like, your body's saying that it needs more support. That's what's happening. Your heart needs more support. And so I just want you to not be confused by what's happening. And so if you're in a situation where it's like, well, okay, what do I do next? Well, you have to think about, okay, what needs healed? If you're restricting, what needs healed is you need care. You need more nutritional support. So how do you give that to yourself? How can you make room for that? What needs to scooch over or be seen so that you can give yourself that? If it's the opposite, okay, so I find myself when I get really, you might, and this is the thing about slowing down, is that the more you slow down, the more you can see like the breadcrumbs of like, oh, this started with like a package not coming in on time, and I could feel the irritation build, and then I could see myself like feeling like I'm gonna get in trouble for doing something wrong, and then before I knew it, I was in the cabinet. What we want to do is be able to, if you're noticing a constriction or a feeling of like bigness, or things or our reaction is bigger than the situation, or you feel small or overwhelmed or whatever, no, and you're kind of reacting with that with food in some kind of way, food, exercise, eating, undereating, whatever, it's know that like whatever's happening in this moment, it doesn't probably match the reaction. And that's our job, is to be able to slow things down, to see like, okay, irritation, package, email, whatever, interaction, somebody has more than me, less than me, whatever, and I'm feeling this need, like I don't want to eat now, or I want to eat everything. Well, that's probably not what the situation calls for, but in your body, it's like your brain's not working anymore and your body's taking over. We need to slow down, find our feet, and all the other many techniques that I talk about. But, and check in, of course, check in with your hunger and fullness. When was the last time you ate? What's going on? Have you been satisfied? Did you skimp a little on breakfast? Did you drink too much coffee? You know, whatever. Start being curious. That's what I want you to do. So I hope this video was helpful to understand that, like, it's not just about knowing a lot. Sometimes it is actually about taking action. Well, I mean, we have to take action in this work, otherwise we won't get anywhere ever. But when it's hard to do that consistently, or we're struggling to do it to the level that we need to, know that there's something underneath all that that needs your attention. And so be curious, like, okay, so how am I meeting that need? If I need more food, am I running away from that? If I'm eating something that I know that doesn't serve me, isn't supportive, that gives me heartburn, I'm wondering what it is that I'm reaching for, and it's not, and I'm wondering how come it's not quite the right solution. What am I reaching for? And if the food's not it, what is it that I'm reaching for that I am not able to grasp that I need? Deep questions, but it's really important. So I hope this video was helpful. Please share it. I tried to distill down the best I can what's happening underneath, like the frustrations with not being able to, like, feel like you can be consistent with whatever your goal is right now, whether it's intuitive eating, eating enough, self-care, whatever. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Please share this with people you know that would benefit from it. And if you ever have any questions, concerns, please, again, email me, message me, whatever, and I'll be happy to kind of make a video about that. So those of you who have done that, and if I am going slow or I've forgotten, I haven't forgotten. It's just, yeah, I will get to it, I promise. So anyway, thank you so much. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.